Smart, you're the best.
Hello everyone, you're welcome to Country Talk on TAE TV, and seated before you is Miracle Alexander. The year 2020 has not been an amazing year. It is a year that has kept the whole world on a total standstill, including Nigeria, where, to the point, surprisingly, the youth had to lend their voice to put to an end the menace Nigeria and its citizens have been going through under the umbrella of the End SARS protest. Along the line, this protest was being hijacked, coupled with killings of peaceful protesters. The most notable one, which happened on the 20th of October at the Lekki tollgate, termed the Lekki Massacre. To the unfolding dramas, the unending dramas, and even the hike in food items, especially onion, which is now seen as an engagement ring, or more of a gold to petrol resource, and lots more. Today we'll be discussing on this, but I'm not doing this alone, as I have a very wonderful personality on set with me today, in the person of Mr. Noble Amara. Mr. Noble, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Noble is an ex-banker, is currently an ICT and security personnel, the youth leader, Non-Indigene Alliance, River State Chapter, and a musician. Mr. Noble, you're welcome once again.
Thank you very much.
So let's look at the End SARS protest. What do you think, or what's your take about the End SARS protest?
The End SARS protest was a protest put together by a couple of youths, Nigerian youths, that came together to drive home the demand for the brutality of SARS officials for the Nigerian police force, who, as at the time, were now going beyond their official duties, arresting young men. It got to a point where youths are no longer free to express themselves in their fashion styles and in their whatever their affluence or whatever they got. So this special unit called SARS now was going about picking youths that they see in a particular fashionable style, and they tag them Yahoo boys. You know, arresting unlawfully and killing a couple of them. You know, all in the name that they are Yahoo boys. You know, a couple of persons were arrested, taken to ATM machines, asked them to pay well over 100,000 naira. Parents were asked to come bail, you know, their children, their words with well over 200,000 and 300,000 naira. It became like the fear of SARS is the beginning of wisdom. So, you know, and it became too much that the youths, Nigerian youths, decided that this whole thing has to stop. So they now went with that End SARS peaceful protest. Of course, you knew about you heard about the Equinado issue at the Ikoko 5, yes. You know, where Equinado had to die, and also the harassment of a few other persons. You know, my friend was coming down from Owerri one time, and they accosted him and had to ask him to go to the ATM and give them 100,000 naira. And they did a couple of that. I even had like two persons that were close to me that were killed in the same circumstance. So the youths got fed up of this whole thing, and they decided to say, okay, enough is enough. And they had to say, we must end SARS brutality and SARS harassment. You know, so that was what led to the End SARS protest.
Okay, so, you know, the End SARS protest along the line was disbanded by the government of the country.
Of course it was.
Do you think that move was still necessary? You know, because the youth didn't stop, even when the government announced that the protest should stop, everybody should go and rest, that they will work in it. The youth still agitated their voice. People still came out. They were still wanting the right thing to be done. Why do you think that move was still necessary?
Well, End SARS was just a mantra that was used to push for good governance and the right thing to be done. You know, it had to start with End SARS. Now, at the wake of the protests, government had to disband SARS. You know, it was actually proper to say the protest shouldn't hold, but there were several other things that were associated with it, like police brutality, for instance. They didn't stop. bad governance, and a whole lot of things. You know, they used to get out of school, no job, and all of, so it was all encompassing. But the End SARS was a better tag for it. So that was why, having disbanded SARS, the youth had to also protest. That's a beyond SARS, because if you look at it, SARS was a child of bad governance. Now, what SARS was doing was as a result of bad governance, the ills that we find in our Nigerian society. So they had to push it and said, okay, beyond disbanding the SARS team, we still need to push for other things. Of course, if you look at it, their demands, there are other things that we all demanded for. You know, so beyond disbanding SARS.
Okay, so we had SWAT after you tried to agitate their voice to put an end to SARS rather. SWAT came up immediately, and it was like, we're telling you guys to end something, and you're bringing up something, and we didn't even get to hear recruitment about this SWAT of a thing. Do you think that was really like a good response from the government?
No, absolutely not a good response, because I feel the government was too quick to take that decision. Okay. It's more like saying that I wanted cake and you're giving me bread. Okay. I think SWAT was necessary, but SWAT was quickly done. It wasn't the right time to do that. Now you disbanded SARS, you're not bringing in SWAT. It's just more like, you know, the same, a new wine in the old wine bag. Okay. No, so it wasn't, the youth didn't see a genuine response to the agitation, because bringing in SWAT it's another tactical thing. Fine and good, they have a job to do, but you can't just do it immediately. You know, it would have been better to relax it for a while. You know, show genuinity to what these demands are. Then, before you now come up with this tactical thing, that because, of course, to some of us we felt it was just a change of name.
Oh, really?
You know, just a change of name, and no doubt SWAT it was necessary, but I think it was ill-timed.
Because I was even wondering at some point, who did they even employ to become the SWAT? Well, who are the SWATs really? Because we didn't hear of any recruitments trying to bring in people to like form up this team. You know, the youth have been lending out their voice, crying, and then all of a sudden we're seeing SWAT. So who is inside the SWAT?
You know, the rush into conscripting or naming the SWAT was just a problem. Okay. But SWAT took some time before it would come to, of course, up till now, we've not really seen them. You know, but I guess it might just also be a fallout of people's protest again. Okay. So why should SWAT come in? No. But there has been recruitment. There has been recruitment for SWAT. It was advertised, and a few persons that were recruited, we are trained. But of course, for the youths, they still feel it is not genuinely done. It wasn't done in good intention. It's more like, you see, going back to, is it not the same people in the Nigerian police force? So it's like, because like you said, it wasn't advertised. You know, for recruitment, you say, okay, you're bringing fresh set of persons. So you're bringing people that you feel would fill in this space from the police force. So the same what is in the mind of people still there. So
it's like I'm asking for a cake.
Yeah, and you're giving me bread. I'm asking for cake, you're giving me bread.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so the 5-point agenda, let's look at that.
Well, the 5-point agenda, what they're asking for?
We started asking for this. Do you think it was actually met, or the government still has a long way to go when meeting this need?
I think what the government did was to call people that they saw as leaders of the protest, and they called them for a meeting and they presented the 5-point agenda. Now, what are the 5 points? It's just, we're asking for good governance. We're asking that those that have been arrested during the protest should be released. They're also asking that those that are in detention from the arrest of SARS should be released. Those that have been maltreated should be appropriately compensated. Then also look at the remuneration and the welfare of the police. It has to be improved because of course you notice that if they're well paid, they probably wouldn't have been doing what they're doing. So that's part of the 5-point agenda, and of course reduce cost of governance so that you can also accommodate those who the youth that are off school, out of the university graduates, and they will have jobs to do. So these are very genuine things, and I think the government sincerely was not sincere to attend to this. What government hurriedly did was just to disband SARS.
So it's quite bad that even all these atrocities that went on, trying to go out from this bondage, we entered another bondage. There was a sudden hike. Up until now, hike in food item, petrol resource.
Fear of importation, fear of all manner of things, doing their business. So what they had, in economics, that when there is scarcity, the price will increase. So that was exactly what happened. So there was also scarcity in petroleum products because most refineries, most petrol stations couldn't open up for business, and most of the most people that would need the services of the police force, as at that time the police were targeted, couldn't have it. There was no safety, there was no security, so they had to hold back. So that was what led to the hike in price, of food items and probably some other goods and services.
Okay. So you're trying to say that people were actually, are you aligning that to security? You were trying to be safe, as not to be killed or something while trying to bring in this resource, these food items or something?
Fear.
Fear.
Yes. It's not really security, but it's a fear.
Okay.
Of moving things because you're afraid of attack. You're afraid of losing what you have. So it's best to keep it, because, we in the South, most of the things we have here, food and all of that, come from the North. So if the roads are not safe, even with the protests, of course, the protesters stopped a whole lot of things, and the economy was kind of held on standstill. So all these things couldn't move. So it was ordinarily, it's what we should expect, that all these prices should go up.
Now let's talk about petrol. It was quite bad because petrol is one thing that will aid even the movement of these things. I mean, why would there be sudden increase in petrol resource?
Nigeria is a consuming nation. We have crude, but we do not refine as at the moment. Our refineries are not working, so we import petroleum products. And prior to this time, the government was subsidizing these products. So it got to the point when they said, we talked about deregulation, and government said, okay, that you're not going to subsidize anymore, but there's still partial subsidy. Now, PPMC, the monitoring petroleum pricing monitoring committee actually said, okay, that independent marketers are saying that they want that what the price that the nation kept it at they cannot survive with it, and they were agitating for an increase. And they were actually scheduled for a strike prior to this End SARS protest. So it was more like a coincidence. So when all this happened, it was more like government now felt, okay, let us look at it, so that let us avert every strike. Then what do you want? And the demand is, let us push the price a little further. And they said, okay, let's do that. Let's not have scarcity. So that was what led to the hike in price. It wasn't actually government's intention. The price increase was actually where things were moderately, available. Okay, look, for instance, prior to this time, we used to hear Ghana must go, and today Ghana is now the Nigerian destination. So why was Ghana in Nigeria? Why were the whites lobbying to come to this country? This country was a great country, not until early 90s, when everything because there was oil boom and there was so much resources, we now decided to be importing everything. And from importing everything, we left and jettisoned all that we could produce here, and which has led us to where we are now. So people are now after money. People are now after wealth. Corruption became the order of the day, because everybody wants to get rich at all costs. So I think that's why we are where we are now. So, but Nigeria was a great country before. Nigeria was actually a
So
great country.
what do you think right now are the ways to make Nigeria become great again?
Values.
Let's
We'll start with the home. Now, charity, they say, begins at home. Parents should inculcate the right values. The school should inculcate the right values. The religious organization, the right values. And when we do that, it now remains indelible in the hearts of these people. Now, kids these days do not see their mentors and heroes in their parents anymore, in their teachers anymore, in their school teachers anymore. They see them in people that have made money without following their track record. Now, it's no more like the end justifies the means. So when the right values, are placed, you teach the children how to grow, how to live a life. You now discover that this greed will not become an issue anymore. Because what we have in this country is as a result of greed. Wanting to get more. You want to get it without even caring, without minding how you got it. Then secondly is, as a nation, the Constitution. The Constitution is the manual that runs this country. But I tell you, that Constitution is really, really faulty. Very, very faulty. In the legal words, there's so much of lacuna in the Constitution. The Constitution is so faulty that it's actually seen as, grafted or crafted to satisfy or to suit a particular set of people. Until we have all ethnic groups, all religious interests, all tribes, and all class of people coming together as a nation, agreeing that this is what we would put together as a working material for us all as a country. That is when we will now put an end to all this nonsense.
What exactly? Are you trying to talk about amendment or a total? Because and wait, what is the Constitution about?
The Constitution
Currently, right now, because you're saying that it should be something where it is being done again. It should be rewritten.
Yes.
What's the Constitution about?
For me, the Constitution, the last amendment was done during the military government, and it was seen like a particular person agreed. I mean, okay, you are going to live as a federated nation, fine. If you say, okay, that there's going to be resource control, it's going to be enshrined there. You say there's going to be whatever, it will be enshrined there. And we know that this is what is binding us, this is what is guiding us, this is what is leading us. Everybody now feels that your interest is represented, and there's equity and there's justice. I think that we have people, here we are having issues now is because a lot of persons feel they're not well represented, they're not well treated, they're not fairly treated, and there's no equity and there's no justice in this country.
That's good.
Not to make Nigeria great again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay, so what did you find out about the End SARS protest?
The End SARS protests. If the End SARS protest ends on the streets, it does not end in our minds. The End SARS protest is still in our minds until these demands are met, things are turned around, right side up. The agitation will still be there. So I plead with the government, please meet the demands and more of the Nigerian populace, Nigerian youth, everybody interested in this issue, in this agitation. Please, government, you should be seen as genuinely meeting these needs because they're not far-fetched. So the End SARS protest will not end even if it ends on the streets. The agitation is still in our mind until it is met.
The right thing is done.
The right thing is done.
Thank you so much, Mr. Amara, for gracing here today, for sharing your thoughts about this. I mean, it's simply amazing to have you here and talk about this. And we pray and believe that someday Nigeria will be great. I mean, it will be a country where that beautiful frame will always see it in. will manifest.
Yeah.
We pray that our children, the next generation, will come and see a place where they can actually call a home.
Country of theirs. A country
Call
they
a home.
be proud of.
Yes.
And patriotic.
Yes. And thank you for listening to us. Next time, Good Cash is here on Country Talk. I remain Miracle Alexander. Thank you.
Swipe